We need to see you do it so other people can say, if she can do it, I sure as hell can do it too. Somebody needs to see you with your exact situation, circumstances, past. Go for the thing that you want to do to show her what's possible for her too. We literally need your example. So if you're nervous or you're like, well, I'm more of an introvert, I can't do X, Y, Z, we need to see introverts do it, right? Or if you're like, I've been in finance for my whole life and I really want to be an artist, we need to see you leave your finance job and go be an artist to show other people that they can unapologetically do that too. Maybe you have 4 kids and you're like, I want to run a triathlon. Girl, we need to see you with your 4 kids and making time for yourself to run this freaking triathlon and to just freaking do it, mama. Like, we need to see you do it so other people can say, if she can do it, I sure as hell can do it too. What's up? I'm so excited that you're here for today's episode because we're talking about something super juicy. And I feel like I say that every single time, but honestly, why would I ever record an episode about a topic that I didn't think was juicy, that would hopefully be helpful for you, or like put a little pep in your step or let a little fire under your booty? And that's what we're going to do today. Because what we're talking about today is not strategy, not logistics, but permission. Permission to give yourself what you actually want, because we can have strategy out the wazoo and tactical things. And about this time of the year, like if you're listening into this, we're a few weeks into the new year and you might not actually be doing the things that you wanted to do, that you set out to do on January 1st. Or you might just be trying to figure out like, where's your direction right now and what can you get excited about? And I think what's really important is to stop and say, like, have I actually given myself permission to do the thing that I want to do? Because I know that you're a grown ass adult, but have you actually given yourself permission? And what I mean by that is, I think sometimes we think we need motivation or clarity or a better game plan, but in reality, clarity comes from action, and action comes from permission. Permission is like this internal green light to say, like, yes, girl, you can go do this thing. You can want this thing. You can strive for more. You can tell yourself that it's okay to change your mind. Whatever the permission slip that you need to give yourself is, you have to give yourself that first, because strategy can't override this internal green light. And I want to give a couple of different examples of permission slips that might be relevant to you at this current stage in your life that you might really just need to give yourself. And, I guess like my goal with this is to expose you to all of these things, but ultimately you're the person that you're going to spend every single second with of every single day for the rest of your life, which means you have to be on your own team. So one of these will resonate with you in a deep way, or maybe multiple of these will resonate with you, or you're going to hear one of these and you're going to be like, oh baby, that's my girlfriend, Ashley. That's my sister, Sarah. Oh my gosh, my coworker, she needs to hear about this one. And then what you're going to do, hopefully, is you're going to send her this podcast, because you're going to be like, this was so helpful for me. You need to know about this too. Because if you think this person is cool, like your friend, your coworker, your sister, and she's not listening to the show yet, you need to tell her to listen to the show, right? So, okay, we're going to break down all of these different permission slips. I actually wrote a few down that I felt like were the most common for me personally, but also will probably be the most common for you too. So the first one is permission to be human. We live in this world where women feel like they have to have every single step figured out before they make the first step, right? Like you want to know step 10 before you've even like started and gotten the game. Right now you're on the sidelines and you're like, well, I can't get in the game unless I know exactly what comes next, right? And I get that. But at the same point, permission to be human means like you don't have it all figured out yet. You're never going to have it all figured out. Like we talked about in last week's episode, you've got to bank and trust on a future version of you that she has more data, information, experience. She will know what to do when the time comes. So permission to be human in pursuit of where you want to go, which means you can change your mind. You can rest without guilt. You can feel grateful and dissatisfied, like we talked about in a couple episodes ago, right? Blissful dissatisfaction. You can want more without apologizing for wanting more in your life. Like you can be so grateful for what you have now and you can still want more, but you can also give yourself permission to be human and have those ups and downs along the way. Just because you decided that you're going to do something doesn't mean you're not going to doubt yourself, right? Like even for me right now, like I've decided that I'm really going full force into this next business venture in the real estate space. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to still have to give myself permission to be human, which means some days I'm like do I have the capacity for this all? Some days I have to remind myself that I'm still figuring this out as I go. I can't expect that I have, 20 years of experience and I know everything, just like you can't put those pressures and expectations on yourself that you're going to have it all figured out. So it's important to recognize that right now you might not have given yourself permission to be human. You might have not given yourself the permission to figure it out as you go. And you might still be sitting on the sideline or kind of like toe dipping when you really want to be cannonballing because you're still waiting to feel like you have all the answers. And the truth of the matter is, I know that you cognitively know this, but you're not going to have all the answers. We're never going to have all the answers. And as much as we think that we want to control things, we just can't. So permission slip to give to yourself, maybe what you need right now is literally just permission to be human. Figure it out as you go. Rest when you need to rest. Understand that your success isn't going to be linear, even though everybody describes it that way. It's going to be really bumpy. It's going to have a lot of 3 steps backwards, 1 step forward, 4 steps forward, 2 steps backward. We're cha-cha-ing, right? Or I don't know if that's a cha-cha, but like we're doing some sort of jig, okay? So permission to be human. The other thing that you might need to give yourself permission for is permission to want things, to want something different than what you've built, to want something bigger than what you've said out loud, to want something that doesn't quite make sense yet, but like your intuition, your gut is like pulling you that direction, to want to pursue something that just feels exciting to you, even if it doesn't make sense on paper, to choose joy over the shoulds, right? And I'm a huge proponent of unapologetically changing your mind. I talk about this all the time on the podcast. It's one of the main things that when I'm on other people's podcasts or speaking on their stages or, on panels, like people ask me questions all the time about pivoting because I'm so unapologetic because you have one freaking shot here. And I don't want you to look back on your life with coulda, woulda, shouldas, wondering what would have happened if you would have gone for it because you were too scared to let yourself want it, to let yourself want something different. It's okay if it doesn't make sense on paper or you don't quite know yet why you're feeling so called to something. The story will unfold. You're going to figure it out as you go, right? Like permission to be human. You're going to figure it out as you go. So let yourself want things. Let yourself want something bigger than maybe you've even said out loud. I was telling my husband on our walk this morning, I was like, I am really grateful for the life that we have now, but I also really do have this part of me that wants to be in like lay down seats with our family on an African safari, like those bougie ass airplane seats that you're literally like laying down and you're drinking champagne. Well, I mean, like you got to sit up for that part, but like you're laying down. Like I want to take our 2 kids on an African safari when our youngest is like 4 years old, and I want to pay for our families to come, and I want us to all have matching outfits, and I want us to fly and lay down seats. That's going to be really expensive. And I said it out loud to him, and I'm like, that's something that I want. Why would I apologize for wanting that? That's freaking awesome. And maybe you have a vision like that or something that you want to do in your life that you feel weird about saying out loud, but give yourself permission to want it. There's nothing wrong with wanting incredible things in your life. Again, you have one shot here. And, on that, I guess I'll just kind of touch on, I think a lot of women, and I say women because majority, I would say probably like 99.9% of people that listen to the show are women, but a lot of women perform through the lens of like what they think they should want because it looks responsible or acceptable. But it's okay to just want something that lights you the F up. It's okay for it not to make sense. That's allowed. Excitement is a strategy. Trust me. That's my compass for everything, okay? So permission to want things. Another permission slip you might need to give to yourself. Permission to receive support. I often am speaking to like groups of women and I'm like, how many of you love the feeling of helping people? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, yeah, Keish, I love helping people. It feels so good. And then I ask them, raise your hand if you struggle with asking for help. And everybody always raises their hand. They're like, I really struggle with asking for help. And I'm like, okay, that means you're robbing somebody else of that feeling that you love of getting to help them. You're robbing them of that feeling of them getting to help you. People want to help you. They just don't know that you need help. And they'll actually get a lot of joy and fulfillment from getting to help you, but you're not letting them. Why? Give yourself permission to ask for help without feeling weak. Give yourself permission to outsource what drains you, what makes you want to take a fork and shove it in your eyeball. Like, let's outsource that crap, right? You don't need to be doing that anymore. You give yourself permission to not be the strong one all the time, to not have all the answers. For me, I've had to give myself permission to not always be the hype girl, right? Like with my female friendships, I've had to really let my guard down and be like, sometimes I need help and I need this person to just like hold me while I figure it out, right? Give yourself permission to take up space in conversations, in rooms. Like let yourself be bigger and understand that someone can support you. You just need to let them know that you need that support. Especially for a lot of us listening into this podcast, you're probably going to resonate with this personally. You're probably the supporter for a lot of people, especially my moms out there, the sister that you are always supporting, your girlfriends that you're supporting. It's okay to give yourself permission to be supported. In fact, I found that the friends that I let support me the most, those are the friends that I'm the closest with because it's reciprocal, right? And like when I put my guard up and I only want to be the supporter, I don't get to have that depth of connection that I'm really craving, right? So permission to receive support. Maybe another permission slip you need to give yourself. Permission to go after it. Full send, to start before you feel ready, to do it a little bit messy, right? Brene Brown has this concept called shitty first draft. I love it. I often my best friend Jackie, I'll call her and I'll be like, this is my shitty first draft of this. Like, what do you think? And I'll just like vomit all over her, right? And I think so often, again, kind of back to permission to be human, we want ourselves to be perfect. We want to have step 1 through step 10 and we just want to have it all figured out. And that's just not how life is. So permission to just go after it unapologetically. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have a shitty first draft, but you have to have the first draft so you can get the better draft. You have to put the post out there so you can get better at it. You have to start the podcast to get better at podcasting. You have to do your first speech. You have to raise your hand in that meeting when you always let Brad from, accounting talk. I don't know. My brain just scrolled a little bit, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that I just am kind of flowing here. So like sometimes these random little things just come into my mind. Anyway, point is permission to go after it. And maybe you need to give yourself permission for what I'm giving myself permission for literally right now. Permission to be a beginner again, right? I've talked a lot about my real estate journey. We've been investors for 4 years. I know this space really freaking well. I'm actually very, very capable of helping people, but permission to be new at a new brokerage, to meet all my new coworkers and just be new and be like, oh, I feel a little bit like a baby deer learning how to walk. Like, where are the bathrooms in this place? You know what I mean? Permission to be a beginner. And some of you, oh baby, this might be you, or this might be like your friend that you need to send this podcast to, or your sister, your coworker. Permission to be seen. For not telling yourself this story that you going for it means it's not possible for somebody else to go for it. Somebody needs to see you with your exact situation, circumstances, past. Go for the thing that you want to do to show her what's possible for her too. We literally need your example. So if you're nervous or you're like, well, I'm more of an introvert, I can't do X, Y, Z. We need to see introverts do it, right? Or if you're like, well, I've been in finance for my whole life and I really want to be an artist. We need to see you leave your finance job and go be an artist to show other people that they can unapologetically do that too. Maybe you have 4 kids and you're like, I want to run a triathlon. Girl, we need to see you with your 4 kids and making time for yourself to run this freaking triathlon and to just freaking do it, mama. Like, we need to see you do it so other people can say, if she can do it, I sure as hell can do it too, right? So giving yourself permission to go after it. I know that being a beginner is humbling, but it's also how you build a life that excites you, right? Confidence doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines waiting to start. Confidence comes from reps, comes from action. Clarity comes from action too. So if you feel a little bit confused about what you want right now, maybe you just need to pick a goal and give yourself permission to go after it because you, again, have one shot here. We got to make it count. Go do the thing that you feel called to do. It doesn't matter if people don't understand it. It matters if you understand it. And then you have some conversations with people around you and you recognize there are so many people that will benefit as a byproduct of you going for this thing because you're a more lit up version of you who's fully aligned, and people need to see that. Your significant other, your friends, your family, your kids, they need to see you go for it. So girl, get out of your own damn way and go for it, okay? If you need a little hype, send me a DM on Instagram and you tell me what you're going after. And I'll be like, yes, girl, let's get it. Especially for those of you that are pregnant and you're wanting to have unmedicated childbirth. I know this is a very weird tangent, but this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I have a lot of people that I text and like send my birth plan to and talk about unmedicated childbirth. So if that's you, or if that's a friend of yours, like have them slide into my DMs too. Cause I don't know why, I just literally love talking about that. Okay. Another permission slip you might need to give yourself: permission to evolve, to pivot your dream as you change, to walk away from what's no longer aligned. Maybe that's a city, maybe that's a job, maybe that's a person, maybe that's a friendship, maybe that's habits that no longer are serving you. Permission to redefine success in this season, right? One of my favorite quotes: new season, new scoreboard, which means this season of your life might have different success criteria than what a prior season of your life had, right? I've kind of even thought about my 2026 year as two chapters, where right now it's like the juggle of being a toddler mom and starting this new business and like leaning into female friendships in my marriage and trying to still work on my health as I'm like pregnant. But then I'm going to have this big chunk of time where my season is going to be like completely pushing aside my business and focusing on keeping a tiny human alive because I'm going to have another baby around July 7th, right? So like new season, when I get to that new season, I'm going to have different criteria of what success looks like, because you can't compare yourself to a prior season when the circumstances were different, right? So permission to evolve your success criteria, your scoreboard, and your desires, because you're constantly changing, right? Like you're not listening into a podcast like this and taking time with me because you just want to be exactly the same. We both want to grow and evolve, right? So give yourself permission to do that, permission to evolve. You're allowed to outgrow dreams that you once had that don't make sense for you anymore. You're allowed to outgrow a life that you once had that you no longer want because it doesn't serve you in the season. If you're watching me on YouTube, my Britney Spears headset is really, really going wild right now. Okay. But honestly, humans evolve. You evolve, especially someone so growth-minded like you. Of course you're going to change your mind. So make sure that you're redefining success as you do and giving yourself that permission to do so. One more: permission to speak truth, to say no without over-explaining. Oof. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, right? On the podcast, where I was talking about this idea of like actually owning what it is that you really want and really not having to over-explain yourself, because often you just need to say what it is that you want, and you need to trust that some people aren't going to understand it, but trust that the right people will. And that's okay, right? So say no without over-explaining, like speaking your real truth, to setting boundaries to protect your energy, not because you don't care about people, but because you know how important your energy is, because you're pouring into so many other people around you. You might be in a season where you really need to get fierce on your boundaries, to ask for what you need, right? Like to speak your truth. I think a lot of us are one conversation away from a totally different life. You know, with my husband right now, we're both entrepreneurs, and we have to have a lot of conversations about what support looks like for each other in this season of all of the things that we want to do. And, you know, it's tough because it's a constant juggle, and it's like permission to evolve, but permission to speak truth, where it's like, I need to understand, or I need you to understand, this is what my mental load is like right now. And it's different. I will say this, people can come at me, but like it is different for moms than it is for dads. That's for damn sure. Like I have such a different mental load than this guy does. This guy, my husband, the guy that I've been with for my entire life, literally 17 years. Anyway, but like that means I have to give myself permission to have hard conversations because they result in more depth of connection. And sometimes we don't give ourselves that permission because we just hold it in. We want to avoid a tough conversation because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or we don't want to stir the pot. But every time I stir the pot with a hard conversation that needs to have, and I speak my truth, I feel closer to the person that I had that conversation with, right? And a lot of us as women, we just need to give ourselves permission when we're speaking our truth to just ask for what we want, you know, for what we need. I talked about this on a podcast episode a few weeks ago, but like for me, I love a morning workout, and it's really hard for me to leave to go for my workout first thing in the morning when my son's already awake. So I've had to commit to like that 6 a.m. time slot to hopefully, you know, like leave the house around like 5:40 before he wakes up. So I'm not hearing like, mommy, mommy. And I had to give myself permission to speak the truth to my husband and be like, hey, Our son is totally fine when you leave the house for a 6 a.m. workout. Like if he sees you leave, he's fine with it. If he sees me leave, he's not fine with it. So I need to get out the door faster. And it was just like a simple conversation. He's like, okay, cool. Like you just do the 6 a.m. workout. It was no big deal, but I like had built up in my head of like, but then it's not fair because I want him to do his. And I was like, speak your truth, Keisha. What do you need? Ask for what you need. And I'm sharing those as like tiny little things because sometimes it's just like, we need to have a conversation. We're going to feel so much more at peace. So really speaking your truth is probably one of the things that I think we all need the reminder of. So give yourself permission. Okay. I think it's really important for me if I'm going to be on this podcast and talking with you and thousands of women, that listen into this show, that I'm just encouraging us while I'm encouraging myself to be unapologetic about our one shot here, about what you want, about what you're going for, and understand that we all bring each other up. Again, like we need your example. Other women need your example. Other people in your community. You don't even realize who's watching you right now, inspired by how you're showing up because of the difficult thing that you went through, right? Or just watching you show up and like go to your workout class. I'm always so inspired by like the super pregnant people in the workouts. I'm like, you're awesome. Like I'll actually tell them now, or I'm like, you are my inspiration because like, look how big your belly is and how are you lifting that barbell? Like mechanically, it's actually like kind of impressive. But truthfully, you're inspiring people that you don't even realize are watching you. So keep showing up for yourself because you deserve a life that you're obsessed with, but keep showing up for everybody else that needs to see your example too. Give yourself permission. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I hope that you know it. Like I'm really rooting for you. So if this episode was helpful, please tag me on Instagram stories if you're someone who shares things, or directly send it to a girlfriend, sister, coworker, whoever, and be like, you need to listen to this pod, girl. Because I just want all of us living our best life. Again, we got one shot here. Let's make it count. Talk to you soon, girl.